Hello everyone, this is Jeff at Divine Cosmos, and this is a reading of my article entitled, You Are a Sovereign Being. Start Acting Like It. As always, my articles are simply my perspective that I share in the spirit of discovery and empowerment. Take what resonates and leave the rest. You are a sovereign being. Start acting like it. There is a rapidly growing awareness and indignation about the injustice and inequality that is running rampant in our world. And there's a growing interest in creating the better world that we all know can exist. One of the key changes that needs to happen to enable the transformation of our humanity is to reclaim our personal power to think for ourselves, to discern truth from disinformation, and to stand firm for what we know is right. The source that created all of us endowed us with free will and the power to create with our thoughts, words, and deeds. Yet many of us are squandering these endowments, squandering them so badly that the probable future of humanity is not looking very bright at all. Humanity is at a critical junction in its history. One road leads to a very bleak future, and the other has the potential to be a new golden age. The outcome depends on us, each one of us, starting right now, and it starts by freeing our minds. The key to reclaiming our freedom and creating a better world is for each of us to reclaim our sovereignty. What is sovereignty? The word sovereign refers to the power or right that a nation or state or individual has to determine its own destiny, to not be controlled by others. The ability to determine one's own destiny has been called self-determination, and it is one aspect of the timeless ideal called freedom. Many people believe that self-determination and freedom are intrinsic rights bestowed on us by our source, by God. The American founding fathers certainly thought so, and they called them inalienable rights. Personal sovereignty refers to the intrinsic right of an individual to self-determination. But having the right of sovereignty is not the same as being sovereign. One must assert or claim the right through one's thoughts and actions, or the right is essentially forfeited or lost. Ultimately, your sovereignty has to be demonstrated to be claimed. The classic saying, freedom is not free, echoes this idea. Rights must be claimed by the constant application of attention, thought, and engagement. An important part of being truly free is the responsibility to be highly discerning about the ideas, beliefs, and attitudes that we choose to accept from society. In fact, we must be independent-minded and confident enough to form our own ideas, beliefs, and attitudes, despite the pressure that society puts on us to conform. We must not just blindly accept everything our government, religions, teachers, and so-called experts want us to believe. Doing so gives away our power and allows others to create a world according to their agenda and one which may not be in our best interests. The importance of being very independent-minded and being very discerning about what we will believe is echoed in these words of wisdom purportedly made by the Buddha. Do not believe in anything simply because you have heard it. Do not believe in anything simply because it is spoken by many. Do not believe in anything simply because it is written in books. Do not believe in anything merely on the authority of your teachers or your elders. Do not believe in traditions because they have been handed down for many generations. Only after careful consideration, and if you find that it rings true with your heart and it is conducive to the good of all, then embrace it. Why is personal sovereignty so important? If we don't start forming our own beliefs, trusting our own inner knowledge, and standing for what we know in our hearts is right, the future of our world will be defined and created by a very few with a potentially very self-serving agenda. In this world that worships the almighty dollar, commercial interests are steering the ship. We have allowed them to hijack our government, our religions, our media, and our beliefs and attitudes. Materialism, consumerism, separatism, and fear serve their interests. Giving away our power. The powers that be only steer the ship because we've bought into all the beliefs and attitudes and have let ourselves become apathetic and disengaged. So let's not point fingers and blame those that we perceive that are manipulating us. Realize that we are allowing ourselves to be manipulated, allowing ourselves to be taken to a future not of our design. We are fully responsible for everything about our lives, including what we let happen to us. And we are letting a lot happen to us. Don't fall into the victim mentality trap and get caught up in the blame and complain game. That only gives away your power. The following statement by Noam Chomsky echoes my concern. As long as the general population is passive, apathetic, and diverted to consumerism or hatred, then the powerful can do as they please, and those who survive will be left to contemplate the outcome. Far too many of us are just letting our beliefs and values be determined by others. Far too many of us are just going along with what we are told, following what our government, church, teachers, or idols have told us to believe or do or be, either explicitly or implicitly. Far too many of us are deferring to the opinions and ideas of the authorities. This gives away our power and allows others to control us. And oftentimes, these authorities, or those that control and influence them, have hidden agendas that are not in our best interest. As Barbara Masiniak has said from her book, Path of Empowerment, mass beliefs in the power of outside authorities are firmly entrenched in your psyche, raising many questions about the truth of who you are and why you place your trust outside yourself. To reclaim our power, we need to start forming our own beliefs, trusting our own inner truths, and start doing what we know is right, not what others tell us or society expects. We need to engage our hearts and our minds and stand firm in what we know is true and right. We need to call bullshit on everyone and everything that we see happening as soon as we see it, without further delay. If we don't do this soon, we might find ourselves living in a very dystopian future, much like the ones explored in numerous fiction novels and movies. The erosion of freedom in the age of distraction, obsession, and fear. In this era dominated by consumerism, materialism, and pursuit of the almighty dollar, many of us are so busy and distracted by chasing the money and the possessions and the stuff and the thrills that we're failing to see that we are gradually giving away more and more of our power and freedom. This slow erosion is going on all around us, subtly and not so subtly on many, many levels. Our obsession with the accumulation of possessions, materialism and consumerism, keeps us distracted from what really matters. Our fixation on all the dangerous, bad, fearful things happening in the world keeps us distracted from what's important. All the wars, the war on terrorism, the war on drugs, the war on whatever, you name it, keep us mesmerized in fear and, again, distracted from what is really important. As Barbara Marciniak, in her book Path of Empowerment, has said that echoes this sentiment. Your power ends where your fear begins. And who do you think all this distraction, obsession, and fear serves? It serves those shadowy commercial and political interests and the military-industrial complex. And it keeps them in the power and in the money. For them, it's all about the power. Nothing else seems to matter to them. They seem to have no higher purpose than to serve themselves. And they have become the masters of manipulation and are capitalizing on our weaknesses and our fears. Isn't this obvious? Haven't we had enough of this? Reclaiming our power. We are divine beings, and it is our divine birthright and responsibility to own our beliefs, ideals, principles, and values. It's time we reclaim our confidence in our inner knowledge and have courage to stand for truth and justice despite what our institutions, the media, or anyone else is telling us. We need to stop blaming the system and wake up from our laziness, distractions, and dependencies to reclaim our power so we can create that better world that we all know can exist. It's time to remember who you truly are, not what others or society say you are or can be. It is time to stand in your own personal truth, not what others have told you is true. It is time to form your own beliefs rather than just adopting what others believe. It is time to stand for what you know in your heart is right rather than what society tells you is right, even if it means standing alone. You are a slice of the one powerful, infinite being that some call God, others call source consciousness, and which has been referred to by many other names. Stand in that knowing and power confidently. Be true to yourself and stop being a follower. You don't need teachers, experts, professors, gurus, priests, pastors, church leaders, or heroes or idols to tell you what to believe, to know what is true and what is good, or to show you how to connect to your higher self and highest self. You do not need their beliefs, ideologies, or recommended practices that they swear is the one and only way to reach the truth and the way things can be done. Everything you need to know is all deep within you. All of the knowledge and the truth of the universe is deep within you. You are connected to all of it, to Source or God or whatever you choose to call it. All you have to do is quiet your mind, go within, and listen to the whispers of your heart and trust what you hear and what you feel and what you know to be true and good. Despite what many people think based on their observations of the outer world, a very bright future for humanity is still possible. But to make this happen, we're going to have to wake up out of our haze of consumption, distraction, laziness, apathy, and fear, and start paying attention and getting engaged. Even though all our experiences expand Source's understanding of itself and the nature of its existence, and therefore all experiences are valuable, surely we've had enough of the many less than desirable themes repeating in our experiences. Surely we've had enough of wage and debt slavery, of going to a job every day that we hate or bores us to tears, of all the competition and conflict, of all the pain and suffering. Have we not? I think it's safe to say that our Source would encourage us to choose a higher and grander vision of what we could be. I think it's safe to say that our Source would prefer the experience of joy, abundance, and freedom for all. That's it, folks. If you enjoyed this article, please consider sharing it, or liking it, or subscribing to my channel or my blog. Enjoy!